Hello, my little ice cubes, and welcome. It is I, your big only sis, Kara Nevermelt, with another episode review of Dandadan. Now, to start things off, I got some bad news. That bad news being that we are almost done with this amazing season. Sad, I know. However, though, there is a silver lining to all of this. For you see, today, yes, today, this episode is the debut of the man, the myth, the legend, the goat himself, Kenta. Now, fun fact for you that I totally didn't make up nor pulled out of my ass, his actual name is King Ta. However, though, since he's a humble goat, he took out the G and just went with Kenta. That way he doesn't intimidate anyone who's too weak to stand against his, amazing aura. Now, with that being said, though, so, first off, the beginning of this episode, where we see Kenta, basically, ore forming, if you will, just looking amazing, looking cool, that's anime only. It did not happen in the manga. In fact, in the manga, it literally starts with him saying, I see you. So basically, the first, I guess you say, 5 minutes was just pure anime original. But that's not the point. So, as we see him basically aura forming and singing the song, I don't know what the song's reference is, but as we see him sing it, we see that he wants to know one thing. That is, how the hell is Oakvern getting girls? How does this man get a harem and he doesn't? And I just gotta say, this episode was beyond hilarious, which I and everyone expected. But anyway, so he sees that, Okran and Momo are by the gate. Okran is walking towards the gate where Momo is waiting before school. And he's having self-doubt, only for Momo to be like, hey, what's up? Let's hang out, let's talk, yada yada yada. And another thing to note here is this also is anime original. The whole them missing each other, trying to search for one another. Yeah, this again was just for the anime, and it was only just to show that Kenta has been watching them for quite some time. That way it doesn't feel like too much of a shoehorn. Even though we also see that when Okran finally snaps and says, why have you now paid attention to me after all this time, it does kinda not feel like a shoehorn, but that's beside the point. So, we start with the class, and Kenta is trying to get Okura's attention by showing off his Gundam, by, just trying everything in his power to get him to notice, only for him to just, stand there and be like, I see you, my enemy, basically bothering him until Okuran finally snaps and says, hey, bro, what the hell, what do you want? And this, again, this is the beginning of absolute hilarity because Kenta wants to know how is Okran able to get the bitches, the girls. And as he's having this conversation, Momo finally comes in and tells Okran, dude, we found your testicle, right where Kenta can hear it. Now, one thing I want to throw out there is I know a lot of fans, yeah, don't like Kenta because of his, rude speech. But what they fail to realize is the dude was literally going by what he was hearing. He isn't doing this out of his own will. He is doing this because he believes, thanks to what's going on here, this is how you get the girls. This is how you get lucky with the ladies. And as he's, again, hearing all this, we see a character come in who we totally will never see again. And also to let you know that she's not like the other students. Her tie is green instead of pink. Yeah, I think they definitely wanted to hammer in the fact that this character is special outside of the others. So it's that thing of how could you tell I was the main character? But as Momo and this mystery girl are having a huge argument about, her going in other rooms and basically bossing Okran around, we get the greatest line ever. And I am so glad they kept this line because in the manga it is word for word 10-gallon wiener. Kenta does the pose and says 10-gallon wiener. Now, sadly, we don't get him to say pure beef in wing, but you know what? At least the main focus, the main line was said. Only for everyone to be like, dude, what the hell? You're, sick, you're a disgusting perv, yada yada yada. Which, I gotta say, I feel sorry for Kenta because he's only doing what he believes it is how you pick up the ladies. But with that being said, though, Okran is like, okay, cool, you know what, let's go to the apartment to get his nut. And as they do, Kenta decides to follow behind them. And he's trying to, be stealthy, but sadly, he didn't roll high enough on stealth, and has been, discovered. To which, of course, then shit starts to hit the fan, as this indivisible force picks him up and throws him, only for him to get 5 checked by Okran, or rather, Okran's powered form, and Momo tells him to stay back here and guard the bags. And again, this dude has no idea what he has just gotten himself into, because how do you explain this, right? How do you explain this to anyone? This is what you do. But anywho. So as again he is we see Okurin and Momo try to capture the invisible thing. They are feeling miserable, and so this is where the goat comes in to play. He runs behind the invisible object, and the reason for this is because he has read sci-fi, where he's basically learned about, things like, if there's like an invisible thing, then this is how you're supposed to, take care of it, etc., etc. And so this is the guy who, he has read a lot of sci-fi, meaning in a scenario like this, he is going to be very, very handy. It's kind of like when someone, reads up on zombies or whatever, and if the zombie apocalypse does happen, well, at least they got a decent survival rate than the guy who has no idea what the hell a zombie is. So, yeah, Kenta definitely proves that he is the GOAT, even without what he is going to, be using in the future. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but let's just say he is able to turn something into an absolute weapon, and it's, again, this is why we called him the GOAT. Now, with that being said, though, as Momo, Okuran, and Kenta chase the invisible thing across the apartments, we get a hilarious scene where Okuran is ringing the doorbell, and it's like, dude, why are you bothering ringing the doorbell when no one is in this universe, like in this domain? Only those who have been touched by, the spirits or even aliens, I believe, or have touched your golden bowl can see, can be here. But with that though, we see that again, Kenta is again useful, and Momo's able to grab, the invisible being so Okurin can do his thing, and they blast this invisible thing through the wall, and they won, or so they think. But we get a moment for them to kind of, have a little bit of a dialogue to, talk about, how Kenta was able to come up with that, strategy, as well as thinking that they have finally succeeded, only for it to turn out that this creature looks like a very certain kaiju. I'm not going to say what it is in this, video, but next episode I will tell you. And also, I will let you know that there have been, I believe, a few changes. However, though, this weird kaiju looking creature hasn't been defeated. And, as everyone turns their backs, the kaiju basically starts to turn gigantic, and, well, shit hits the fan. And sadly, that is where we leave off. This episode was amazing. We get to finally see the goat. We finally get to, see Okurin's golden ball. We also get to see another character who may or may not be we get to see two characters who may or may not be joining the team in the future. But overall, though, this was a decent episode. Again, the voice actors from Japanese to English did a great job with Kenta's voice. I love the anime original stuff. And yeah, this was a really good episode. But sadly, we are almost done, and I am not ready. But with that being said, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please, by all means, follow me on all of my socials. Until then, bye!